Welcome in, Ryan Chapman, Randall here, day 2 of SEC Media Days. It was Oklahoma Day for us here at Sooners on SI. Brent Venables, Danny Stutzman, Jackson Arnold, Billy Bowman all took the stage as Oklahoma introduced themselves to the rest of the SEC today. It was an interesting pair of press conferences from Brent Venables up at the podium, and a very statesmanlike performance, Randall, for Oklahoma's head coach, who has had some weird media day appearances in the past. Not today, as he was short, sweet, to the point, everything you'd expect from a guy in year 3.
Yeah, he seemed very confident. He seemed confident in his own coaching abilities. He seemed confident in where the roster was at heading into the SEC, and I think he even said Oklahoma's not running from the SEC, they're running to the SEC. So he seemed very confident, very excited about where his program's at, and excited in general about this transition into the SEC, excited to finally be here. You know, talking season, I guess, is almost over. We're kind of still in the midst of it.
We're almost there, Rand.
Yeah.
We're almost there.
But at least a little more official today, being here at SEC Media Days.
Yeah, it was a lot of what you'd expect. We've heard it from Brent Venables a lot, right? That they're trying to build that roster 1 through 85, 1 through 100, really, that can compete. But I thought the most interesting tidbit was not actually at the podium in the main media room that was on SEC Network. He did mention a conversation he had with Nick Saban about the real grind of the SEC. It's not just the physicality of that, but the emotional handling, the ups and downs week in, week out. And he admitted that Oklahoma did not handle that success very well last year. You look at the Texas game, everything flying high, pointed to the turnover margin, and then the escape against UCF, the back-to-back losses to Kansas and Oklahoma State. That's something that Brent Venables targeted that they're going to have to get a lot better at if they're going to have the year that they want, year 1 in the SEC.
And both of those games were on the road. The road environments are going to be a lot tougher in the SEC. If you can't handle the success when you're going to places like Kansas, Oklahoma State, it's going to be a lot harder to do when you're going to Auburn, South Carolina. So, like you mentioned, that's something that Oklahoma has to get a lid on before they start this year in the SEC.
Has to happen. He did give a little bit of an update on some injuries. Troy Everett, way ahead of schedule, is what he said. Sounds like everybody else going to be cleared except for Andrew Anthony, hoping to get him practicing by the first game week, that game prep for Temple. Then Jalil Farouk avoided any kind of surgery, is what he said there. So once you got from there, it was on to Jackson Arnold, Billy Bowman, Danny Stutzman. You spent a lot of time with QB1 today. What did Jackson Arnold have to say at his first SEC Media Day?
Well, it seemed like it was a lot of putting his first start behind him, actually, which, again, OU fans will remember. Obviously, the Alamo Bowl didn't go Oklahoma's way. Jackson Arnold turned the ball over quite a bit, but there were still a few high points in that game. Jackson Arnold talked about, learning from his mistakes. He talked about being excited for the new iPad technology that's going to be on the sideline and how that will help his game. Not having to draw out a coverage on a sheet of paper anymore, being able to actually look at it, not having to remember everything after a long drive. And so he seems to be very confident as well, which was what really impressed me. I can't imagine many sophomores in college heading into SEC Media Days, having started one game in their entire career, would be very comfortable in front of the mic. But he seemed very confident, very comfortable in what he was saying, and I think that it bodes well. I think that he's going to be very confident heading into this season. I think he's ready to take the reins as starting quarterback.
Yeah, he said he was working a lot on his mental game, taking that next step. That's something Danny Stutzman talked about. Danny talked about a year ago having to learn that whether he's feeling good, bad, whatever, to truly be a leader in that team, you got to come in and give your 110% every day, as he termed it, because everyone's going to feed off you, good or bad. That's something that Danny Stutzman said he believes Jackson Arnold is really getting a grasp on as they close down spring ball, head to the summer, something he talked about today. We had a fun Billy Bowman moment, I guess, as horns down, I guess, has run rampant. This just in, it's not going to be a penalty. This is a real football conference. It's not the Big 12. But Billy Bowman did kind of drop the mic on that.
He did say that if it can't be part of the game, that it's soft. That was his exact words. He used the word soft, saying that if it can't be part of the game. Danny Stutzman, Brent Venables weren't quite as hard and fast on their take. But yeah, Billy Bowman was seemingly unhappy with how horns down will be officiated.
Let's let it die. It's done. It's dead. We don't have to speak about it ever again.
Please.
Thank God. Something that will come through, open up Oklahoma, not the only team to go today, obviously. Tennessee up at the podium, Missouri up at the podium, Georgia. Let's rattle through those real quick. Josh Heupel, he's been asked over and over and over again, maybe this is the last time. He will be, this just in, opening up the SEC in Norman against Oklahoma. He said it'll be it'll be a interesting experience. He didn't really want to dive into it, understandably so. We wrote about that over, just hit the website Sooners on SI. The big one too for me though, talking to Eli Drinkwitz, he's great in media day settings. Got to ask him about Caden Green and that transfer situation. He gave a little smile when the question came in. He basically said when he hit the portal, Missouri felt that they would have an opportunity. I think that they probably felt a little bit more than good about that when Caden Green hit the portal.
I agree with you, and Drinkwitz also mentioned that that Caden Green had a high school teammate on Missouri's roster. That might have played a factor in it as well. He mentioned.
Yeah, a couple. They've got that. Kirby Smart led the die-off as well for Georgia. Kirby had some complimentary compliments for Oklahoma and Texas, what that does for the SEC, and also the ominous warning that humility is 1 week away always in this conference.
Yeah, Kirby Smart talked about some of that, a cautionary tale to the newcomers of the conference, saying, hear me when I say this, every week is a test. This schedule is a gauntlet. There's no weeks off. You can never play down to the competition, because if you do in this conference, you'll lose. And Oklahoma, they've done that before, so that's something that, I feel like he wasn't necessarily speaking directly to Oklahoma, but it's something that Oklahoma fans, maybe the players need to take to heart. And yeah, like you said, he even mentioned adding Oklahoma, adding Texas, it increases the prestige of the conference. It makes everyone's schedules tougher, is exactly what he said. And I think we've seen that in OU's schedule. They play 4 teams that are ranked in ESPN's top 10 right now, 6 teams that are ranked in the top 15 of ESPN's rankings in the conference alone. So, that's a tough schedule. Again, even the games that aren't in those top 15 are still going to be tough.
Yeah, unshocking, but Oklahoma, outside of Georgia, I can't speak to Georgia. I was actually on radio when that happened, but Oklahoma, very, very popular. Everyone wanted a piece of Oklahoma, whether that be Brent Venables, the SEC media, they get to talk to him for the first time, the player breakouts. I expect we'll see something similar tomorrow. Texas due up alongside Alabama. Kalen DeBoer going through his first media day as the head coach at Alabama. Mississippi State will reunite with Jeff Lebby, all that stuff. And then Florida, not on Oklahoma's schedule this year. Billy Napier's on the hot seat. We'll see what happens there. But we'll have all of that Sooners on SI coverage for you tomorrow from day 3 of SEC Media Days. So be sure you're staying locked in. For Randall Sweet, I'm Ryan Chapman. For Hoove, who's bounced around here somewhere, working hard. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.